The book of Judges in the Old Testament of the Bible recounts numerous stories of heroes and heroines who played pivotal roles in the history of ancient Israel. Among these tales stands out the epic battle of Deborah and Barak, a gripping narrative that has captivated readers for centuries. The story unfolds in Judges 4-5, in a time when Israel was submerged in chaos and oppression. The Israelites had forsaken their faith and turned to false gods, resulting in their subjugation by Jabin, the king of Canaan. Desperate for deliverance, the Israelites cried out to the Lord for help. It is in this precarious time that Deborah emerges as a remarkable figure. She serves as a prophetess and a judge, displaying her unwavering faith and deep connection with God. Deborah calls upon Barak, a military leader from the tribe of Naphtali, and delivers a divine message, instructing him to gather an army of 10,000 men to confront Sisera, the commander of Jabin's oppressive army. Barak, however, expresses his reluctance to go into battle without Deborah's presence by his side. Sensing his hesitation, Deborah reassures him that God will grant them victory, but warns that the honor will go to a woman, not Barak. This displays Deborah's unwavering trust in the Lord's plan, even if it challenges societal norms and expectations. The ensuing battle takes place on Mount Tabor, where Barak leads his army in a surprise attack against Sisera's forces. And true to Deborah's words, God grants them a decisive victory. Sisera flees the battlefield and seeks refuge in the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. Jael, clever and resourceful, plays a crucial role in the story's climax, driving a tent peg through Sisera's head as he sleeps, thus fulfilling Deborah's prophecy. In celebration of their liberation, Deborah and Barak compose a triumphant hymn known as the Song of Deborah, Judges 5. This poetic masterpiece praises God for his intervention and details the heroism of the tribes that answered the call to arms. The song showcases the strength and bravery of notable figures, such as Jael, as well as the unity and determination of the Israelite people. The epic battle of Deborah and Barak serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of faith, courage, and trust in God's plan. Deborah's leadership and prophetic insight, combined with Barak's military prowess, demonstrate the potential of individuals to rise above adversity and triumph against all odds. Their story inspires believers to remain steadfast in their faith and to trust in the divine guidance that leads to victory. As readers continue to explore the book of Judges, the epic battle of Deborah and Barak will continue to captivate and inspire. It reminds us of the rich tapestry of biblical history, where God's chosen people faced countless challenges, but ultimately found the strength to conquer and thrive. One, Israel's idolatry brings servitude once again, 1-3. 2. Deborah judging Israel, 4-5. 3. The command from God for Baruch to lead the army against Sisera, 6-7. 4. Baruch agrees and they go to war, 8-11. 5. God gives victory over Sisera's army, 12-16. 6. Jael kills Sisera with a tent peg, 17-22. 7. God gives them victory over Jabin, 23-24. Discussion questions. Do you see anything familiar between this passage and the previous ones? What? Why did the sons of Israel turn to God for help this time? Can you remember the principles we learned from this the last couple of weeks? Psalms 106:41-45. Many times they rebelled, but he still listened to their voice. 1 Samuel 12:9-11. They forgot God, so he delivered them into Sisera's hands. When they repented, he raised up judges to save them. Psalms 50:15. Call upon God in the day of trouble, and he will deliver you. Exodus 14:7. Pharaoh of Egypt only took 600 chariots, so 900 was really a large number. Judges 3:31. If God can deliver Israel by an ox goad, there is no need for chariots. One, this same process keeps repeating itself again and again, like we said last week. It is easy to look at them and think they are foolish and sinful, and they are. But how about ourselves? Did we do that last week? Did we keep repeating the same sins we already knew were wrong? Did we always do the good things we knew were right? Hopefully this week we can break out of those sinful habits. 2. The 900 large iron chariots were only part of this army. Pharaoh only chased Israel, the entire nation, with 600, so this was a very large number. This was a very big and powerful army they were going up against. What is more, their army was far less equipped. They had no chariots, probably very few horses, probably not much armor, and probably not a lot of weapons, judging from Ehud making his own before. At that time, iron chariots are almost like tanks against infantry today. One, what did Deborah do? 2, what is a prophetess? 3, some people like to point to this passage and say that because Deborah was a judge of Israel and had leadership that women can teach in the church. Is Deborah proof God thinks it's okay for women to teach in the church? 4. So how would you respond to someone who believed this or asked you this question? Cross-references, 1 Timothy 2:11-14, 1 Corinthians 14:34-35, Titus 2:3-5, Titus 1:5-9, 1 Timothy 3:1-13, Galatians 3:28, Luke 2:36, Acts 21:8-9, Philip's daughters prophesying. One, this begins one passage that is often used to support women taking leadership positions in the church or becoming pastors/preachers/elders. First, let's look at what it says about Deborah. What does it say about Deborah? 1. Deborah was a prophetess. What does this mean? What does a prophet do? This was her particularly gifting. She would have been more sensitive to the Holy Spirit's leading than most people, and probably God at times gave her some special revelation. In fact, we see that he does later in the chapter use her as a messenger to Barak and the armies and tell them God will give them victory. 3. Deborah was a judge. She served the country judicially because of her wisdom in settling disputes. 4. Go over what it doesn't say about Deborah, why she is not a support for women preachers, how to answer this question, and all the verses on women teaching in the church. What can we learn from this? 5. We can draw the conclusion that God uses women in amazing ways, even in the public arena, such as Esther, Mary, Priscilla. We can also draw the conclusion, at least this is support of, that it is not sinful of itself for a woman to be involved in politics, be a judge, or be a boss of man in a secular setting. Deborah was a secular leader of her people. But remember that of the 13 judges, only 1 was a woman. So although it is not sinful, and sometimes might be necessary in a secular setting, if men are taking the responsibility, it is also not the normal way God structured it. One, who gave the command to attack Sisera and his army? 2. Who was commanded to lead Israel in battle? 3. What character qualities can we see in Deborah? 4. How about Barak? 5. Why did Barak want to go up only with Deborah? What did this show about his character? 6. What was the result of his cowardice? 7. Who is Zebulun and Naphtali? Hebrews 11:32, Barak commended for his faith. Judges 5:21, God used the river Kishon to help destroy Sisera's army. Revelation 16:16, God will gather man's armies again one day at Armageddon. People think they are acting freely to do their own plans, but often don't know God is the one moving them to do it. Exodus 4:10-14, Moses has some excuses and wants Aaron to go with him. 1 Samuel 15:6, the Kenites were normally on friendly terms with the sons of Israel. Once, notice it was God giving the command to Barak. Deborah was merely a messenger. Notice also the military leader was Barak. 3. God was going to give the victory to them even against such a strong force. 4. Barak was fearful to go by himself, even a little bit cowardly. Yet we can read in Hebrews that he is an honorable mention in the Hall of Faith. He was by nature scared, yet he did do what God requested of him. He did lead a far inferior army against a seemingly unbeatable force because God had commanded him to. This also took great faith. I think we can get a lot of encouragement from this. God doesn't only use superheroes. He doesn't only use giants or perfect people. He doesn't only use the Daniels or Josephs. He uses common everyday Joes, people like you and me. He uses people who have weaknesses, who make mistakes, and who don't always do what they should. But all of those people in Hebrews 11 had faith. God can use even weak you and me, but we need to have faith in Him and His promises. Don't shrink back from doing the job He has given you, even if you are nervous or feel afraid. Take, for example, sharing the gospel. You may be afraid to do it or even nervous. But conquer that fear. Don't let it stop you from doing what you know you should. Decide to trust in God and share anyway. 5. The Kenites were relatives of Moses' wife's family. They generally had good relations with the people of Israel and at least originally believed in God. They were also descended from Abraham. What was so special about iron chariots? 2. So how could Israel defeat such strong opposition? 3. How complete was Israel's victory? 4. What does this show us about how God works? Do you think it's normal for not even one of an army to be left? Cross-references Joshua 10:10, 1 Samuel 7:10, 2 Kings 7, 2 Chronicles 13:15-17. All cases where God routed Israel's enemies, sometimes using miraculous ways. Psalms 33:16-17. A horse is not hope for deliverance. 900 chariots were only part of his force. He surely had thousands of foot soldiers as well. Arise, get up, go. Serving God is not something we can do sitting down, figuratively. It takes work. It takes doing something. It doesn't come by itself. In other words, don't just stay here and wait for that army. Go to the battle instead of waiting for the battle to come to you. As believers, we are to be people of action, not inaction. At this point, Barak had already decided to fight the battle. Now it was a matter of getting up and doing what he knew was right. Wow, this has a lot of potential applications for us. Can you think of any? I remember the Great Commission. How does it begin? Go. Sharing the gospel doesn't normally happen if we are waiting for people to ask us about it. Reading the Bible, loving your wife, praying, etc. are all potential applications. 3. The Lord routed the army. It wasn't Barak or Deborah. The Lord did it as He had done so many times before. Not even one was left. This refrain occurs many times when the Lord gave them victory in the battle. It shows how complete the victory God gave was. It doesn't leave room for coincidence. Normally speaking, no matter how great a battle, it is very likely that at least some will escape. This shows the miraculous nature of the victory. God doesn't do things half-heartedly. What do you think of Jael? Is what she did good or bad? What can we learn from this event? Psalms 37, 35, 36. The wicked may flourish like a tree for a while, but then they will die away and be seen no more. 1. Discuss verses one by one. 2. What can we learn from Jair? Why do you think she did what she did? In the rich tapestry of biblical history, there are countless stories of extraordinary individuals who have left an indelible mark on the world. Among these memorable figures are Deborah and Barak, two remarkable leaders whose alliance and bravery guided the Israelites through a time of great turmoil. Deborah, a prophetess and judge, emerged as a beacon of hope during a dark period in Israel's history. This remarkable woman possessed not only visionary wisdom, but also a keen understanding of the political and social dynamics of her time. Deborah's wise counsel and prophetic insights garnered tremendous respect, making her an influential figure within the Israelite community. During this era, the Israelites had fallen under the oppressive rule of Jabin, the Canaanite king. The people cried out for deliverance, and it was Deborah who answered their call. She summoned Barak, a commander of Israel's army, and entrusted him with a crucial mission: to defeat the Canaanite forces led by Sisera. What made Deborah and Barak's partnership particularly extraordinary was the role reversal that took place. Deborah's insight and divine guidance led her to assure Barak that victory would be theirs, but she prophesied that Sisera, the Canaanite general, would ultimately be delivered into the hands of a woman. Despite his own doubts, Barak exhibited great trust in Deborah's words and agreed to lead the charge against the Canaanites. With an army of 10,000 men at his command, Barak marched fearlessly into battle, fueled by the unwavering faith instilled in him by Deborah's prophetic foresight. The day of reckoning arrived on the battlefield of Mount Tabor, where Barak demonstrated military genius in his tactical decisions. As the Canaanite forces charged forward, Barak and his men held their ground, pushed back the enemy, and eventually routed them. Sisera, the Canaanite general, fled the carnage and sought refuge in the tent of Jael, a woman from a neutral clan. It was Jael who would fulfill Deborah's prophecy. As Sisera lay sleeping, exhausted from his escape, Jael courageously took matters into her own hands. With lethal precision, she drove a tent peg through his temple, putting an end to his tyrannical rule and securing victory for the Israelites. Deborah and Barak's triumphant tale offers valuable lessons in courage, faith, and the power of partnership. It reminds us that true leadership transcends gender and societal norms. Deborah's wisdom and vision, coupled with Barak's bravery and trust, showcased the strength found in unity and solidarity. Their story also highlights the importance of heeding prophetic wisdom and divine guidance. By embracing Deborah's counsel and putting their faith in her, Barak and his army achieved the impossible. Deborah and Barak's legacy continues to inspire generations, emphasizing the significance of strong leadership, unity, and the pursuit of justice. Their story serves as a timeless reminder that when courageous individuals band together against all odds, they can triumph over even the most formidable adversaries. We want to help you study the Bible, obey the Bible, and teach the Bible to others.